Hello, lovely listeners. Today I am joined by three of our Time Hacker Coach grads. I've got Amruti, I've got Valerie, I've got Anna all here to share a little bit about their experience, about what surprised them in the program, about what you can expect in the program, and about what the experience would be for you if you are considering it, or if you're just curious about what what is the training that our coaches go through before we put them in front of you. So welcome. Thank you all for being here. Um,
Thank you so much for having us.
yeah.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So great to be here.
So great to have you all here. I think it's always great to start with like what led to the decision to become a time hacker coach. Any of you know? Did any of you remember the moment you made the decision? I'm Rudy.
Yeah, I think the reason I became a time hacker coach is because I gained so much value from time hackers. Being someone who's been hustling all my life, always, had to do to prove my worth. I think time hackers really helped me to understand how to get things done, but in a way that I was kind to myself. And the reason I became a time hacker coach was actually because I was like, this is exactly what I coach on in my private practice as well, on weight loss. And I was like, how does that even link? But so much of what I'm coaching on is actually time and actually making time for yourself and allowing yourself to have that time for yourself. And not from a place of I'm taking away from others, but how can I actually, give to others through nourishing myself in the best way. So I think that was the reason I saw such a big link. And I was like, I really want to learn these tools and at a much deeper level and actually help all of my clients through it as well.
Thanks. Thank you, Amruti. Anna?
Yeah. Kind of following on from what Amriti shared there, I have a kind of different coaching background. I work more with movement coaching. And becoming a time hacker was such a significant experience for me because it allowed me to witness this other kind of coaching and how like the values are really shared. So I think really from the beginning of being a time hacker, or the reason I became a time hacker in the first place, was rooted in some of the big time hacker values of like safety first, and how like brilliance. This is kind of really what I work with in my movement coaching practice as well, or performance coaching, is how brilliance unfolds from first taking seriously, which doesn't mean like heavily, but actually playfully, what it means to look after ourselves, and how like resting for like everything unfolds from resting first. So the reason those are the reasons I wanted to become a time hacker coach and really kind of bring that into the practice too.
Thank you so much, Anna. And Valerie, will you share a little bit about your decision?
Yes. Sure. So I was a time hacker before, and the reason that brought me there was because I was always procrastinating at work, or always feeling overwhelmed or thinking that I didn't have enough time to do things. And I really wanted to help others. Yeah. And I've actually took another coaching training program, but I never did anything with it. So I really wanted to like get my hands involved with like the whole time hacking, and especially how it had helped me as a very overwhelmed mom, busy career woman. So I don't know, something drove me to it. I don't know exactly what it was, but I just wanted to like experience community again with like coaches.
Yeah, thank you. And also, Valerie, I think it's interesting for you because you manage quite a large team. And so I'd just be curious for anyone listening, like, do you think what you learned inside the Become a Time Hacker Coach program has evolved, even like your management style or how you will manage that team? I'd be curious to know.
The way I manage my team now, it's like more, I guess it's more hands-on. I'm less anxious to talk to them about uncomfortable things just because through the Time Hacker program, built like a lot more self-trust that I got this, right? Like I don't have to like get the okay from others to feel like I'm doing the right thing, also to follow my intuition. Yeah, and just talk to people like humans, with like going through a human experience. And I feel that through using the tools, I've learned to like make decisions very quickly and not be afraid of what others might think about me making that decision. So it had definitely has led me to be like more comfortable in being in the discomfort, and I've actually took the week off because I was feeling overwhelmed and that burnout again. And I'm like, no, 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 I need to take care of myself. I need to take time off.
Mm.
So, and I did it unapologetically. I'm like, I need a day off. I need this. I need that. And yeah, usually I wouldn't do that. I would just feel kind of like that shame or that guilt, like I'm leaving people behind. But through the tools that I learned through the program, I'm like, whatever. I need to take care of myself first.
Wow, thank you for sharing. Really proud to hear that. And interestingly, I had a conversation with a corporate client last week, and they were at that point of like basically on the edge of burnout. We're not working together yet. We're discussing working together. And she was saying how she can't leave because everything's going to fall apart and everything's dependent on her. And I was trying to reflect that back to her, like from my own burnout experience, like that doesn't last anyway. Like the walking away is going to happen. It either happens with your sickness or it happens intentionally. So I just always appreciate you sharing that. Thank you, Valerie. So in terms of being in the program, in the Become a Time Hacker Coach program as a coaching certification, and I think some of you have mentioned you've done other certifications before, what would you say was really unique about this certification process? Or even what surprised you about it compared to your own expectations? Anna.
What is so unique is really to put front and center the total belief in each of us right at the beginning. And that's something that gets talked about I work a lot in education and performing arts spaces. So of course, like having confidence, embodying your practice, like doing a practice, embodying it, becoming something is like really what we're working with. And it's so unique, so rare to start there, to actually right at the beginning say, you already are this. And so now that you are this, let's go, let's practice. And that has really, yeah, that's really unique, I would say. I've never been in a program like that.
Yes, thank you, Anna. Yes, Amruti.
So so this is my 4th coaching certification. I love getting coached. I love like coaching. So a little bit of an addiction probably. But anyway, so I would say the way that this is really unique is that firstly, let's talk about the value, like in terms of how much I've paid for other coaching certifications, it's been considerably more. But actually, the Become a Time Hacker Coach program was phenomenal value. And I think that needs to be talked about because other coaching certifications can be very, very, very expensive and actually maybe not having as much, practical tools that you can use. And I found that what was unique about this was, firstly, there was a scholarship. Well, I can't remember what it's called, but partial scholarship, which was really lovely. Then there was, it was good value. Then there was a very safe space that was created. And so I felt like I was getting coached on things in my peer coaching and things like that, that I wouldn't normally open up to people about, until I felt really safe. And I was like really coaching on some deep stuff, like very early on. And that is a testament to the safe space that was created within the group. And the other thing is just kind of having like being held through the discomfort of doing uncomfortable things, right? When we were required to do some projects that felt really uncomfortable for us, and then, getting feedback and then getting more feedback and more feedback, it was super uncomfortable. But being held through that and like really supported through that was very unique to this program.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's like the project is a tool for growth. And so I'm really glad that you got to experience that. And it really is about like, how do we support people through this? so that they can take the lessons that support them, however they apply it afterwards. So I'm glad you experienced that. Valerie?
For me, the program was unique in that you created like such a sense of safety that you didn't have to be perfect or know every single tool or had read every single piece. Like you could just be a coach just by being present, by being loving, by having good intentions. Um, I, yeah, it was just like mind changing to like know that I had the power to be as great of a coach as I wanted to be. The value, I also agree with Amruti that it was amazing. And then just like engaging with my peers, doing the coaching with my peers, and they were pretty much going through the same stuff that I was going through. And they all had like this relationship with time, and they're all overachievers trying to do the most with their time, and just talking about it, like finding that support system was like great. And then finally, all the feedback, I think also I agree with. I've never had like when I would do the peer coaching and getting the feedback from each other, I think that was like super it was, yeah. I'm like, oh, because sometimes you doubt like what you do or how you did it, but people actually found value in that. And then also to know like things that you can improve on. I'm like, okay, next time I'm going to improve on this and ask more questions and be more curious. And I think that has been like invaluable, like to have that experience with my peers and with you, also with the live coaching.
Yes. Yes. Anna?
I just wanted to add a tiny thing, just kind of echoing what Amruti and Valerie have shared. I mean, number one about value, because I received a scholarship to be on this program, and yeah, so I said a little bit about being from performing arts background, and I work in education a lot, and so I'm here because of what you're doing, because you're making these spaces accessible. So I really want to name that and shout about it, because I don't see it in many other spaces. So that's really unique. And then like this thing about safety is coming up a lot, and something that's really clear, that's really brilliant in this program, and is increasingly, well, already is clear to me in my work, is how that thing about safety can sit in this place that people think it's a feeling, or it's something nice, or it's something extra. And what is like so clear in this program and in Time Hackers is that safety is focus. Safety is how we get to the place where we can excel, where we can heal. Like those two things happen in that space of safety. And that's so powerful. I just wanted to add to that.
Thank you. Love that. I love those additions. So I'd be curious also, so you guys got coached, you coached others and you received coaching. So I'd love to chat about what do you think changed in terms of like the quality of coaching in yourself or even in others, without obviously naming names, but what were the developments that you saw in terms of the actual quality of coaching? Because, you know, as time hackers, we're all about the results and the impact. So I'd just be curious to know what you saw in terms of quality of coaching or coaching evolution or learning and improving, or what you experience yourself. Amruti, yeah.
I think what I noticed is the variety of coaching styles all being perfect. So I didn't need to be a certain way to be a good coach. I focus mainly on feelings in my work, and that comes quite naturally to me. And so a lot of my coaching is kind of feelings, and that was okay. And someone else may coach more cognitively and, you know, brain-based, and that's okay too. And like, you know, just like welcoming all coaching styles, and then kind of like feeding into what you were saying about like the thing that you've gained is also the evaluation. So how we then evaluated our coaching, evaluated other people's coaching. And that had been something that I was actually putting off in my own practice for years, probably. And it's created safety for me to evaluate my time, my coaching, my business in a much calmer and less stressful way. So I think that has definitely been something that has changed.
Yes. And by the way, that just got me thinking, if you do sign up for one-to-one coaching as well, you'll see each of these people, each of their projects, which is the micro videos, because obviously yours is on evaluating. So,
yeah.
Yes, Valerie.
For me, it was more like when I got into the program, I thought like coaching was prescriptive, right? Like you go to the doctor, you get like a prescription for like something, or like it was like a formulaic. And what I learned here is that it's not, right? It's more like a dance, getting into people's brains, just kind of like enjoying the process more than like making it seem like it has to be perfect and you have to have the right prescription to give to like the client so that they can feel better. And it's okay if they don't feel better after the session, like as long as you go in there with like love and, community and that you want the best for your client, like that's all you can give them. And then the evaluation I think was key also, just because as I mentioned before, it just opened up in me like things that I can like work on and things that could make my coaching better and that it didn't have to be prescriptive, right? And then in others also I saw their evolution too and how they had more self-awareness, more self-confidence. And I think it was like across the board with everyone.
Yes, and I think it's so important, that point that you made, all the points you made, but in particular, I think a lot of coaches, especially new coaches or less experienced coaches, and I certainly did this, like we want that validation from the client. We want to get to they're like, yeah, and then they feel better, or like, yeah, then they had a breakthrough, or yeah, then they cried, or whatever it is. We stop coaching for them and we start coaching for us, and we think that we're coaching for them, right? Because we want them to get somewhere. And one of the big evolutions I saw in our coaches in this cohort was a detachment. I always say to my clients, like, you don't have to be there when the client gets the benefit of the coaching. But when we think that we do, when we attach our confidence and our validation to seeing it, we are rushing clients. And I think it's a huge thing that I don't see, that I've never seen spoken about in any of the coaching spaces I've been, that I think is hugely important and creates, excellent in service of others coaching instead of the accidental in service of selves. Not if you're doing that, by the way, and you're listening and you're like, oh, I do that, it's not to say you're doing anything bad or wrong. It's just, I would just consider what would be different if you didn't need to see the client feel better, if they were allowed to do that in their own space. So yeah, thank you. Anna, is there anything that you would add around, seeing coaching evolve, or learning from coaching, or how coaching changed for yourself or for others in the program? Oh, you're on mute.
I think I just echo really like what's been said, perhaps in my own way, which is just the dropping away. I really saw that evolution of a dropping away of trying to get something right. Into just a fuller presence with the client and less kind of need to make something happen, like really trusting. That just unfolds from like where we began really, which is when you really trust the human in front of you, when you absolutely trust your client and you trust yourself, and that can be the bigger challenge, right? Then the coaching unfolds from there, and it's just amazing to witness, as Valerie said, how that just allowed like an already diverse group of coaches to become like more diverse, more their own style, their own way. Yeah.
I love that thought, to allow an already diverse group of coaches to become more diverse, because I think a lot of programs and a lot of education generally, the way we're taught to consider it is actually to become more similar and to everyone to, Anna's nodding her head because she's in education, I'm really like, yeah, everyone's nodding their heads. Where it's really like, oh, let's take all this diverse food of thought and teach them the right way. And it's quite a significant unlearning and unraveling. And it's not something I've experienced in the certification programs I've done, where it's left people, exactly as you said, Anna, more diverse, instead of how do we come together? How do we make it more similar? And it requires exactly that piece, trust in the human instead of a trust in the tool, right? Like I think, and I hope you guys experience this, in that one of the main skills that we were teaching you and looking for you to develop was that trust in self and wasn't trust in time hacker tools. So even every single one of you in your own practice or in your job managing people, or if you come and work for us, will lean towards certain time hacker tools. And I think that helps our clients too, because then they can end up saying like, oh, okay, Amruti, like, you know, she focuses around feelings. And if I've got fear and fear of failure coming up a lot, then she's the person to speak to there. Like, I think it just adds so much value instead of thinking like we all have to be the same. And I want every client. I worked for a coaching organization once, and part of what they said was we want every client to be able to get on a call with any coach and it feel exactly the same. And at the time, I really bought into that. I was like, oh yeah, that's great. And now I'm like, that excludes a lot of people now. That excludes that nuance, that excludes that like me being able to come and identify what I need. Yes, Amruti.
It kind of feeds into, you know, the trust in yourself. I think that's definitely something that I developed through this program, because I'm a doctor by profession. And, you know, when I was practicing as a doctor, as a GP, I'm not practicing anymore, but it was often life or death if you didn't get it right. And you had to follow, you know, the guidelines, and you had to, you know, tick all the boxes and make sure you have looked to make sure that the patient is safe in every way, right? And so coming from that background to a place of coaching now, where actually there's so many different ways that are perfect, it was really hard for me to grasp. I was like, no, what is the perfect way to coach? What is the perfect tool? I need to do this perfectly. So actually, I think the program really helped me to go with the flow and my flow, and trust my flow, and trust like my genius inside my brain, and not need it to be this perfect thing that someone else externally has told me. And I think that's what this program really highlighted for me, that actually I've got the answers within, and I don't need to follow this formulaic way, and I get to just be me. And that is amazing for my client and for myself.
Yes. Anna, are you gonna add something?
Yeah, just that what Amruti's sharing there is speaking to my experience, which is that it's like becoming more diverse, and the tools, as you say, like the human, not the tool, is it creates kind of like the good kind of pressure. So like I would say, as like graduating, if you like, as a time hacker coach, like leaves me with the good kind of pressure, which is that there isn't a set way. And I feel so supportive of what you're creating, what time hackers is creating and standing for in the world, which goes back to focus again, which is like, okay, if there are these tools to help us along the way, but if we stop focusing on like the rules the way it should be, then like what is it that we want to create? And that sort of goes for each of us, you know, as time hacker coaches now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing that time hackers is creating out there in the world, which is like, okay, if, you know, what is the job at hand, and, you know, do I have to do it in the way that society has told me before I have to do it, and why? And what if I don't? If I get the same result?
Yes.
Or a better result?
Yes, which is what typically happens. Thank you, Anna.
Yeah.
Valerie, yes.
For me, it was also like when you're stuck, or like if you don't know where else to go, to actually ask the client, like, where do they want to go? Do they feel complete? Like, what else do they want to talk about? Do they want to talk about this or that? Like, I felt like that was very liberating, and to like know that that's okay, like to be honest with the client and actually ask them where do they want to go with a coaching session, as opposed to you like running the show at all times.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said earlier around the dance, right? You're both in the dance, and also everything that we do at Time Hackers, just so people listening know, because I don't know that we speak about this loudly enough outside of actually the Become a Time Hacker Coach program, is like really creating non-hierarchical spaces. Like everyone we coach is complete and brilliant and amazing as they are, and you're never going to come to one of our coaching sessions and speak with someone or receive coaching from someone who thinks they're an expert of you or they know what's best for you. And it really is exactly as Valerie shared, this dance and this experience where you are the expert of you and the coach is trained and positioned to support you in your own brilliance. And so I love that you shared that too for everybody. Is there anything that you thought about the program or that you wanted to share on today's podcast, knowing it was coming up, that I've not given you the platform to yet? I've not asked the right question. Is there anything that anyone is like, oh, there's definitely something else that I wanted to share about it or something I wanted to talk to? Yes, Amruti.
If you are in the Time Hackers program and you're thinking, do you know what? Oh, I just like really want to apply this even more and more. I mean, because I was thinking, should I just be a time hacker and just keep like applying the tools and maybe I can just use those? But actually, I really want to encourage you, if you feel it's right for you, to take that step further, because I already had access to the Time Hackers material. But actually, as a requirement of the program, it was go through all of the things. And because that was a requirement and I'm like I'm very studious, I will follow the rules. I was like, oh, wow, I'm learning things about the program that I didn't learn before. And it just helped me to practice them through the time, become a time hacker coach, but also consume the content and actually put it into practice. So one thing that it really helped me do was go back over and over the Time Hackers program, which was really useful. And it really helped me deal with not being attached to the outcome, which is something that you talk about in the Time Hackers program, and dealing with my fear of failure. Now, of course, this is work in progress, but this is definitely something that has evolved through both programs, but definitely through Become a Time Hacker Coach, because you are failing. You're going to be failing a lot, and you're going to be failing with love, and you're going to be, given so much loving feedback, and that's all part of it. But when you know that that failing is actually the thing that's making you win even faster through evaluation and through, lovingly accepting yourself regardless of what happens, that's when things become so much more fun, because it's not about you being worthy when you win. It's like you're already worthy as you are, and I get to just play and be curious and actually have fun with this, rather than like force myself into doing it, because then I become worthy.
Yes. Thank you so much. And I think often we think when we're excellent, we're not going to fail. But actually, once we hold excellence in ourselves, we create such a safety to fail. And then that failure doesn't mean something about us. It's really when we learn. So I definitely saw that in this program too. Yes, Valerie.
For me, the video project was very like eye-opening, and just like the amount of feedback that I received. And I'm like, oh, I really want to work on this because I do like to be on camera and I want to like seem like a natural person. So I started like really getting into like CapCut and like how to like produce videos and everything. So that actually brought something out of me through like the program. Not only coaching, but also kind of like being on camera more and being comfortable with it, regardless of how you look, and or failure, or all that, and to fail faster.
Yes, yes. It's like, every round we do like a different project. So for the next group, I already know what the project is going to be, and it's going to be different, but it's all based off of like one, deepening understanding around the material, but two, like exposing ourselves to those core time hacker values, which is like what's going on in our brain. What are we experiencing in terms of fear and fear of failure, and the decisions that we have to make, and wrapping those up as you are studying the material and getting coached. It's like tying it all in together. So I love how every person came out of that with, those changes. So for Valerie, it's like getting more comfortable on camera. For Amruti, I know it's like evaluating more. So it's just really fun to see. Anna, is there anything you want to share?
Again, I just echo those experiences really, like yeah. So the practice of failing, what I wanted to say is something about practice. If Amruti was there, if you're thinking about it, I would just say it doesn't even need to be about wanting to be a time hacker coach, but it's like a practice space. Obviously, I mean, being coached within time hackers is a kind of practice, but this is really that place to like fail with love. I wanted to say that sentence again, Amruti. You'll fail and you'll fail with love. I love that so much. And likewise, I was not comfortable at all about being on camera, despite being a performer. That's not a comfortable space for me, and that's really something that's shifted. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. So we've spoken about what to say to people who are already time hackers who want to do the work, but I'm wondering if there's anything that any of you would say to anyone who is thinking about becoming a time hacker coach and isn't a time hacker, or anything around that. Is there anything that you would say to anyone who is maybe not in the work, doesn't know the magic of the work, listens to the podcast, likes it, but hasn't joined, maybe even anything, maybe not even a one-to-one, but is curious about becoming a time hacker coach? Yes, Valerie.
For me, it's more like about like perfectionism and how much that is robbing you from joy and robbing you from getting things done and making decisions and like moving on with your career, and how to how to feel faster, how to sit in shame and discomfort. And I think that the time hacker program and the coaching program, they push me in many, like, to go through my limits to see like how much can I go forward, with through the shame, through the guilt, through whatever, like through the perfectionism coming in, through the anxiety, just kind of pushing my way through all that and know that I'm still safe, I'm still here, and I can, like, whatever I put my mind to it, I can make it happen.
Thank you, Valerie. Anna?
I would just say, I mean, perhaps it's obvious, but it's good to say the obvious things, but it doesn't take time. If you haven't been a time hacker before, it doesn't actually take time to become one, and you won't be behind, or in any way less than if you're new to it, and you will be so welcomed, so welcomed. Yeah.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, Amruti?
I think if you're thinking about joining and you haven't joined anything else, I would invite you to bet on yourself instead of betting on, oh, it won't work, because that's where your brain's naturally going to go to. And so for me, I've done like a few other coaching certifications, and what I found is that this was such a safe space for beginners and people who were more experienced in coaching, and everyone just meshed together. As you said, there was no hierarchy, and it was just beautiful to watch the different coaching styles and stuff. So even if you are a beginner, even if you've never coached before, even if you aren't aware of coaching, this will be a really safe space for you to develop that and to become a sensational coach, which you already are even before joining. So
yes, thank you. Yes, we actually do speak about it in the Q&A, how it really is for everyone, whether you're brand new or already have coaching practice, already making multiple six figures. We really have a mixed bag in the room, and I think that's because one of the unique things I think about this program is we are the why behind why it was developed. It was developed so that I could take a maternity leave and be on bed rest, and my clients could have excellent coaching. And I remember initially thinking like 2 or 3 people would sign up. This is the last round. And so the why behind it is very different. It's very personal and I very much care. And you guys see this, and you've mentioned it in the amount of feedback you got from me. It's not like, oh, I'll give one feedback and then you're on your own. It's like, no, we're going to keep going until we create excellence. And that is partly selfish, because that was driven by the I want to be able to hire anyone who wants to work for us after this program. That's what it was created for, as a hiring mechanism. And then it's obviously evolved from there. And, not everyone wants to come work with us. They want to use it in their own practice or their day job or whatever it might be. And that's amazing too. But I think that that's a key difference. It's just a different driver than like, I'm going to sell a certification to make money, I think. Amazing. Well, thank you all for being here. We kept it under 40 minutes, I'm sure, which we wanted to, for all you busy people that are listening. If you listen and you want to jump in and become a time hacker coach, go to timehackers.xyz /BATHC. That's become a time hacker coach. The link will be in the show notes. If you listen to this and you want to get one-on-one coaching where you can watch these amazing guests' beautiful videos and potentially even get coached with them if they join us as time hacker coaches, the link to that will be in the show notes. If you want to just become a time hacker, the link to that will be in the show notes. Thank you so much, Valerie, Anna, and Amruti, for being here, for sharing your wisdom, and thank you everybody for listening. We'll be back soon.
Thank you.